boys and girls, for this assignment, you are going to use your lined paper if you have some of this available at your house. If you don't, you can just use your journal, or you can also use your whiteboard and your marker. But the best option, if you have it, is this lined paper that we sent home with you. But if for some reason you can't find it, or you're out of it, or you weren't able to pick any up at the school, you can use those other things I mentioned, your journal, a regular piece of paper, or even your whiteboard. So we are going to practice writing the letter O, the lowercase o. And so to do this, you've got your 3 lines. The top blue line is called your headline because it's at the top like your head. Your dotted line in the middle, that's called your midline. And then the bottom red line is called your base line. So you have your headline, your midline, and your baseline. And for the lowercase o, we are going to touch below the midline, and we're going to circle back to the left and all the way around to make that lowercase o. So the first few times, just listen and watch as I do it. Now mine might not come out as neat as I would like because I'm using my mouse as my pencil, but as you're writing on your paper, try your very best to make it as neat as you can and follow my words. Okay, but remember, for the first few, I would like you just to watch and listen, and then I will let you know when I want you to start trying with me. Okay, so I'm going to leave some space before I go to my next O, and I touch below the midline. I'm going to circle back left. I come all the way down to the baseline, and I'm circling all the way back around. Lowercase o. I'm going to leave some space, touch below the midline, circle back left, all the way around. I'm touching that baseline all the way back around, lowercase o. So go ahead and pick up your pencil, and I would like you to try with me. And if you remember the words that I say to make the lowercase o, you can say those along with me. So touch below the midline, circle back left, all the way around. I'm going to touch down on the baseline and back all the way around. Let's do another one. Leave some space. Start just below the midline, curve back around left, touch the baseline, and I'm going all the way back around, lowercase o. Okay, keep practicing with me. Touch below the midline, circle back around left, touch the baseline, and all the way around, lowercase o. Touch below the midline, circle back left, down to the baseline, all the way back around. Touch below the midline, circle back left, all the way around, touch the baseline, all the way around. Touch below the midline, circle back left, down to the baseline, all the way around. Touch below the midline, circle back left, down to the baseline, all the way around, lowercase o. So as you are making those O's, just remember, you're starting just below that midline. When you circle back down to the left and around, make sure you're touching that baseline before you're curving back up to where you started. So if I do this, I haven't used my lines correctly. I need to go all the way down to my baseline. I don't want my O just kind of floating around there. It has to start at that midline, and it's touching down to that baseline, that red line. Okay, so just remember, start a little bit below the midline, back around, touch the midline, or excuse me, touch the baseline, and back to where you started. Below the midline, circle back left, go all the way down to that baseline, back around to where you started. I don't want to go below that baseline. I want to make sure it's resting on that baseline. So go ahead and try a few more of those on your own. Make sure you're leaving some space between those O's. Don't try and make 100 O's. I'd rather you make maybe 7 or 8 really nice O's where you're really concentrating on those movements and those steps. Okay, remember, start at the little bit below the midline, curve back left all the way down to you're touching that baseline and back to where you started.